This right here is a 2004 Polaris Sportsman 500, and it is absolutely a job I'm not proud of. So this is a pretty decent machine as far as the shape-wise, especially for the amount of miles and hours. It's got quite a few on it. It's got 1,173 hours and 6,000 miles. But for that amount, it's really not that bad. It's got a little broken plastic here, but I'll go ahead and let you watch the teardown, and you'll see why I'm not very proud of this repair. This is a 2004 Polaris Sportsman 500. Now, Polaris Sportsman's been around forever, especially that 500. However, this specific year is a one-year-only model. Just take a look at the bumper, the rack, the headlights. Now, 2003 and older all have this style right here. And then when you jump to 05, it looks like this. So like I said, the look of this is a one-year-only, 2004, which makes some of the plastics hard to get, but they're kind of unique. But anyways, this one came here as a non-running machine, so they were driving this around, and it ran good, I guess. But the engine performance got worse and worse, and then finally it wouldn't start altogether. So if you've been around these older Sportsman 500s, you know it's common for the cams to go bad in them. So they said they did swap out the cam, however it would never start after that. So the first thing I'm going to do is check to make sure it's in time. But I'm not working on this thing out in the rain, so let's bring in the shop. First thing I'm going to do is check the oil. Definitely over full, I believe. Oh yeah, by a lot. Should be down here in the normal range. We're way up here. I'm going to drain that out before I even turn this thing over because that is quite a ways over full. I also noticed the battery connections are just loose, hanging in there. Battery's kind of broken. Yeah, these are all just kind of loose. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. Wow, no wonder she was full. What was that? That's a nozzle to carb clean or something. Jeez. Well, I'd say we found the problem. Either it's got a blown head gasket, or cylinder head, something along those lines, or the water pump seal. A lot of coolant in the oil reservoir. Go ahead and look in here, see what we got going on. Empty, of course. I know they've been into the valve cover, the cam, obviously the timing chain tensioner. I can't tell if that head gasket's been replaced or not. You know what? I don't know if it shows up in the camera. It almost looks like there's no base gasket in there. Usually you'd see your base gasket along the cylinder and the block, but it looks empty. I think the only thing to do right now is tear that head cylinder off and see what's going on. Just curious what kind of mileage this thing's got. 6,000 miles. It's getting up there. Oh yeah, wow. 1,173 hours on this thing. We're missing this engine mount. This was not on here. Start by tearing all these plastics off. Alright, let's take a look in here. Wow, pretty sure that gasket was like that. Oh, it definitely was. You can see where it was smushed right here. And this whole gasket was just laying in there. So probably a good thing that didn't fire up. Oil would have been everywhere. It would have started full oil eventually. Well, that's certainly not good. This is our camshaft down here. This is a shaft for the rocker arms. This is pushed over into the cam. It should be, flush with right here. Looks like it's missing a bolt here. Look at these valves. Whoa! That is bad. It's good to see young kids working on these things, but it's pretty rough. Further inspecting, chain guide is definitely not right. Something's going on with that in there. The tensioner doesn't seem to be pushed out enough. We're certainly ripping this whole thing down. Front bolts were not even tight. Alright, let's get you out of there. This does not have any spring in there. I guarantee the spring inside here is missing because obviously this is not. I'm wondering if she jumped time now. Oh, that's not good. The valve's definitely bent. Very rusty. I bet that cylinder doesn't look good. Remember what I said about that timing chain guide? Looks like it was not put in the proper place back here, and just the cylinder was shoved right on it. So I bet that's why the coolant went in there, because it couldn't close properly on the head. Because that is wedged in there bad. See the coolant in there. Oh, she is locked in there pretty tight. Oh, look at that piston. That's not good. Oh, man. Check that out. Very deep scarring in there. Look at this piston. I don't know. She's locked up or what? Pull cord don't work anymore. Ooh, rusty in there too. Man, of course, gasket's all ruined. And the crank does rotate. Oh my goodness, though. Oh, wow. Look at that crank. This thing needs a complete overhaul because of the rust in there. And this is trash. Not good. This thing basically needs a whole new engine. It is rebuildable. We'd have to pull the engine, do the crank, because I guarantee the crank bearings got rust on them. Not sure if the cylinder head would be salvageable. I'm guessing it probably ruined the seats. These valves would have to come off to find out for sure. The cylinder is obviously trashed. I didn't look at these rockers, but where it slid over like that, I'd probably replace this too, because you never know if that got bent or what. It looks okay. New chain guide. These aren't much money anyways. Absolutely a piston. Man, that sucks. The owner got a hold of me saying he's taking a trip to Maine with his family this coming Thursday, and he wanted this done by then. And I said, yeah, it should be no problem. I was hoping it was just going to be out of time a little bit and able to get it fixed for him, but that's not the case. This thing needs a whole new engine pretty much. This is the worst part about this job, delivering the bad news to the customers. Tie rod end's definitely loose. Wheel bearing here. Wheel bearing there. Wheel bearing. Wheel bearing. Radiator, it doesn't appear to leak. They do have JB Weld on it, and it's definitely damaged in a few spots, so I'd recommend replacing that. That certainly is not going to happen. So yesterday I quoted the owner $1,200 for parts and labor for the complete engine rebuild, because it definitely needs a new top end. I wanted to get in the crankcase and clean that all up and check the crank. As you can see, the wrist pin doesn't move very good, a little sticky. Now that was with a used cylinder head, a cheap top end, like a niche kit, which I don't have a lot of experience with, but that's what was in the budget. And then a connecting rod kit for this. And he said, go ahead and order all the parts. So what did I do? I went ahead and ordered all the parts. And he just sent me a message today saying, hey, after thinking about it, I really don't have the extra $1,200 to spend on this. Some things came up, so let's just do a top end job. So I definitely expressed my concern with the crank. However, it's just not in the budget for him. I definitely can't guarantee anything because the crank is just unknown. He understands and he wants it done anyways. I'm going to go ahead and rinse out this crankcase the best I can with some diesel fuel. Go ahead and pull that wrist pin right now. Check the damage on that. Surprisingly, that pin didn't come out too bad. Clean the connecting rod. Definitely a little scarring in there. I hate to throw a top end on that thing without going through the crankcase, but it's what the owner wants. $1,200 is going to do the complete rebuild. Crank, all new seals, all new gaskets, all the way up to the top. It's going to be a cheap niche brand top end, and then a used cylinder head. But still, $1,200. You know, I was giving him a little bit of a break, I thought. I'm going to flush the crankcase the best I can. Put a cheap niche top end on there. Between the labor and the parts, it's still going to run like $500. Hopefully he has good luck with it. Just one of those things where I want to make the customer happy. He obviously doesn't have the money right now. I don't have the extra money or time to put into this and just give it to him for the $500. I mean, if I did that every time, I'd go out of business. Doesn't mean I didn't do the best job I could. Of course I did. I cleaned the bottom end thoroughly with diesel fuel, ran a couple gallons through there, drained it out, flushed it as good as I could, but there still was some rust in the bottom end of that. Between the contamination and the lower end bearings, a little bit of scarring on the small diameter of the connecting rod, I just don't have complete trust in it, so it's going to be as-is repair. The bill ended up being like $635, I think I told him. That's with labor and parts. We spent some time, broke in the engine and everything, but why don't we give it a little test run? So yeah, there is another thing with this. I forgot the fan does run all the time. I didn't figure I'd mess with it, since how he didn't seem to have too much extra money to do stuff, so but you can hear the fan on. It just runs constantly. It's wired straight. Must have had problems with it at one time. Let's go ahead and we'll give her a whirl. It does run good. It does run good, so. There's some stuff rattling around, and it is what it is. This rack rattling around. I don't know, I didn't touch that back rack. I really don't want to run this thing much. I don't trust it, you know. I did the proper break-in procedure of the engine, and I said that's as far as I'm gonna go, because I want this thing running. I want it to last a long time for the guy, but you know, do I think it will? I don't know. I really honestly don't know. If it was up to me, I would have certainly gone into the bottom end, rebuilt the crank. We could have put a new connecting rod in it, and then she would have been good to go. Possibly replace some of the bearings down there if they were contaminated and the rust kind of pitted them up. I don't know, but yeah. But either way, that's over with, and we gotta just work with what we got now. So these Sportsman 500s, I tell you what, I don't care what year Sportsman 500 you have, some of the best riding machines there is. You know, they're big, they're heavy, but they also ride smooth. The McPherson struts they run on them, they're just, I mean, obviously there's better, smoother running machines, but this thing goes pretty good for what it is. You know, this, you know, once again, 6,000 miles on this, and the hours are actually more impressive than the miles. 1,100 hours, so that's a lot. Yeah. I just don't like the noise. It makes me nervous, but it is just that back rack rattling around. If I hold it down, it stops rattling, so that's a plus. The engine does sound really good. I had the front rack off and stuff, put all the bolts in there. There was a few missing. There was a motor mount missing on this, actually. I didn't even charge them for that, but I stole it off one of my parts machines I had. So. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do something with that. She's rattling like crazy. Yeah, I'm not going to ice this thing up before I bring it back to him. I didn't even check if the four-wheel drive was working. We're in two-wheel drive, yeah. Alright, let's see. Should be able to spin. Yeah, we're spinning. Well, she's grabbing. Let's see. Oh yeah, no, they kicked right in. Good. Good. We'll go the other way though, because I still got to clear out some trails around here. Now there's a lot of broken plastic pieces like this thing. There's supposed to be a couple screws in there, and it's supposed to clip in, but all the tabs are broke. She's a little rough, but I did notice the A-arm bushings up front have a lot of play. I would certainly replace them, but we'll see. So we're in low range. Yeah, those front tires kick in nice. And that's what we wanted to hear. Now this thing, like I said, I don't know, I probably put an hour and a half maybe of runtime on it. And so it's fairly broken, but I still want, oh, what did I miss there? Something just took off. But I still want like full throttle this thing for a few more hours anyways. So we can certainly get onto it, but like I said, not full throttle. It'll be hard on it. And I don't want to lose that. Oh, we made it back. Yeah, like I was saying. Yeah, we got a loose screw, or possibly stripped. I don't know. Like I said, I never took this rear rack off. Took the front one off, but so that was like that. We're in the shop one last time. Give it a quick once over, and then she's on her way. For those of you that think it stopped complaining, the thing runs good and it probably run forever. Well, that might be the case. However, it might not be. And it's not the fact that, you know, I wanted more money for the other job at all. It's the fact that, you know, if this thing blows up a week, a month, a couple months down the road, that doesn't look very good for me, you know, because I just rebuilt the engine. However, I always do what the customer asks. However, I might have to turn some stuff away like this. You know, if I tear it down and it gets to that point, do what? Should I repair it? Should I repair it how they want? Or should I just tell them, we either got to do it the right way or you're going to have to send it somewhere else? I don't know.